Mom in Sarasota County gave birth to a beautiful baby boy just 7 months ago. But just as she returned back to work following her maternity leave, she got some devastating news. She was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer.
Her battle to find childcare has been challenging, and undergoing chemotherapy while trying to take care of her baby has been hard on both of them. ABC Action News anchor Heather Lee has been following the childcare crisis in our state for months now. Heather, you talked to this mom. It's heartbreaking what she's going through.
Yeah, absolutely. Good morning to you, Dia and Andrew. This story may be a bit unique, but it highlights cracks in the childcare system that we've been talking about since last year.
When you're a new parent, every second of every day is spent on your sweet baby. It's worth it.
I love it. He's such a good baby. That's his sleepy song when he gets tired.
New parents learn quickly. Amber Teed was right. Her son Kyrie fell asleep in her arms minutes later. And while he sleeps, Amber shares something deeply personal with me.
Couldn't happen at a worse time.
7 months ago, she brought Kyrie into the world. After maternity leave, she went back to work. It was there one day, sharp pains sent her to the ER. A short time later, a diagnosis of stage 4 colon cancer. She tells me doctors wanted to admit her and start treatment right away.
Couldn't stay in the hospital and not be home with him.
That's because she still hadn't found childcare. Before she found out about her diagnosis, she attempted to get help from the Early Learning Coalition of Sarasota County.
And they said they still did not have, any funding, and we would just have to stay on the waiting list until we hear something.
The ELC tells us it had to close intake for new families applying for financial assistance back in October in order to stay within budget for the year. The ELC faced another challenge last year. County commissioners initially voted to cut $500,000 in funding, serving families in the county between 150 to 200% below the federal poverty line. That's where Teed fell before she had to leave her job following her diagnosis.
And I'm not exactly sure why, funding would be cut from one of the most important programs that there is to help single parents.
The ELC did eventually secure $300 million in funding, and the state matched that amount. And even though the ELC reopened intake for new families in January, hundreds of families are still on the waiting list, including Teed. The CEO, Janet Kahn, tells me the Department of Labor received approval to release additional funds to several ELCs, and if received, Kahn says they'd use that money to cut down the waiting list. Teed has tried getting help elsewhere. Her first round of chemo was brutal while also taking care of Kyrie.
My first treatment, I actually was pretty much in the bed for 4 days. I was terribly sick. I could not even hardly stand up. So the first 2 days, I actually had him, and I struggled to even get out of bed, to change his diaper, to make his bottles, anything.
Last week, she finally received help. Children First Head Start is funding childcare for Kyrie from 8 a.m. until 2:30, also helping with diapers, food, and other supplies. It gives Teed renewed hope for the future, but what really keeps her going is her son.
He's my reason. He is going to be what keeps me fighting. He's going to be, every time I feel like giving up, all I have to do is just look at his face, and I just know that it's not an option.